Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode of Gumbo Live. It's episode number 98. That's right. We're only 902 episodes from the big 1,000. Can't wait. We're already planning it. Gumbo Live is the #1 Facebook Live talk show dedicated to board gaming. That is entirely not true anymore. But our special guest tonight is Jonny Pac. You can't see him yet. He's in the green room, but I've got a beautiful picture of some games that we're going to try to talk about all of those games in just 20 minutes. We'll see if we can do that. Check out some of our other fine members like the Draft Mechanic Podcast. Jake and Danielle Bach have a podcast about beer and board games and anything they can do to tie those two things together. Hey, check out episode 119 where they dish all about the Lions of Lydia, the game we're going to be talking about tonight. Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Hit us up on social media tonight, on Twitter or on Facebook at facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo or at BoardGameGumbo on Twitter, and we'll be looking for your questions in the chat crew. But enough blather. Let's get right to my double time special guest. Trying again. Jonny Pac, welcome to the show.
Hey guys. How's it going?
It's going great. This is hopefully going to be a better experience than the last time. Actually, you and I had a great time.
It was a great episode. It'll be the forever lost episode. If anybody finds it,
somewhere on Facebook, somebody's got it on some server. They just won't let us have it. But yes, we had some technical troubles, but Jonny Pac agreed here in the last week of the Kickstarter to come back and talk. You've been playing some games recently, but before we talk about that, I want to talk about this big monstrosity that I've got on the screen here. Tell everybody what we're looking at, man.
All right, so yeah, that's my my studio there. So I'm in it right now. And what I got there is my big wall of games, wall of shame, and you got some guitars in the background. That's the Wolfgang Kramer and Michael Kiesling section of the wall there, which I'm obviously a big fan of. Got a few guitars in the background, some artwork, and a workbench out there, so I can either lift up the legs and play games on it, or get down there and build stuff on it. It's usually covered in prototypes, but I actually cleaned my room for once.
Verla says, hey, she's going to be checking in and she'll be visiting with us later on. She says, wall of opportunity, Jonny.
There you go. Yeah, I always like that. It's a very positive spin.
One of the things that I noticed when I was looking at this picture is there is a beautiful, either a photograph, no, not a photograph, but maybe a play mat right there on the table of one of your games.
Yeah, so that's the Fistful of Meeples box cover. I asked them, because there's a deal going on online where you can get a giant custom thing. I was like, that'd be kind of kick-ass. So sent the files over and got it made, and it's gorgeous. I'm really happy with it.
I actually got the game up here. There's a little yellow tag because it's going right into the Southern Board Game Fest library. So we've got stacks and stacks of games in my office ready for Southern Board Game Fest, and we had to put little stickies on that. And that's how I separated that one. That one's going right to the library. It'll actually be on the hot tables in September, and then it'll move right into our library. So it's been a pretty requested game over here at Southern Board Game Fest. So unfortunately, we didn't get to do it our festival in April. I don't know if you know, there's a little thing called the coronavirus going on. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I heard things.
So tell me, when I last talked to you, you were traveling back and trying to make it to Northern California. You've made it.
Yeah. So when you spoke to me, we did the missing episode was shot in Reno because I'd stayed up there after Gamma, and it was just a good place to stay in the quarantine and play games with my family and just hang out there for a bit, and then work and duties kind of called me back to this side of the mountains. So I came back over the weekend and just been settling in and trying to catch up on projects.
BJ from Board Game Gumbo, I've got my guest here, Jonny Pac, the designer of a bunch of different games. And there is one game, Jonny, that I wanted to talk about. Let me see if I can get that picture real quick. You and I are both Carcassonne fans. In fact, I've got a Carcassonne right up there. Shoot, you can't see it because of the Board Game Gumbo logo, but I got my base Carcassonne with a bunch of expansions in there. I think I have like 5 in there right now. But you got to play a game that I'm super jealous about. Tell me about Carcassonne The Map. Is that right?
Yeah, so there's Carcassonne Maps. I think there's 5 of them right now, and they have different European countries. And this was a Essen 2019 release, and it was the longest line I waited in to get these things. And they came in these giant poster tubes. And then of all things, I forgot it. I was like running out, and I was like, I was already on the plane. And so I had to tell somebody, hey, did you find those tubes? And they found them, and somebody drove them to England. And then they ended up someplace else, and finally somebody flew them carry-on from England to Gamma, in which case I just got them recently. and was able to play them up in Reno with my dad and nephew. We had a great time, and we played the German map. And I mean, they're big. I mean, they take up a pretty considerable table. There are some special rules that go along with it. So it's kind of like an expansion. Each map has some features. As you see, there's some kind of tiles baked into it. And there's certain spots where you will have starting tiles, and you will pull those out kind of randomly and set them out there. And you will build off of those nodes. So instead of just starting with the start tile or the river or whatever contraption that you've got expansion-wise, you would start from a couple different spots on this, and you actually could grow towards the center, towards the edges. And there's bonuses on these kind of pre-baked tiles. And there's also bonuses for covering up some of these other little features, for instance. And it takes the base game, the new printing, because the new artwork, and they recommend having 1 or 2 expansions in there to give enough tile content to properly fill out the map. And so we played it with the base game and the first 2 expansions, and it was fantastic.
How's it play differently from Carcassonne in terms of game length? You know, one of the things that I like about Carcassonne is that experienced players can play it and they know about how long it's going to take.
Yeah, I think it would take about the same length because the end condition is the same. You would play until the deck runs out, and so if you're playing with a couple expansions, it's going to be a little bit of a longer game because you have a longer timer on that. So if you wanted to shorten it, you could. But if this one took a little time because we were just enjoying it and playing slowly and having fun and looking at all the neat stuff. But I think you could play it in about the same amount of time as the core game.
How does it compare to the accessibility? Is it something that you would bring out with, because you could play Carcassonne with people that are just getting into the hobby. They may have trouble with the fields, maybe. That's maybe why and I like the Discovery, I think, a little bit better for playing with newer people because it has that ability to, if you got a meeple in the wrong place, you can always pick it up. How does Carcassonne Maps apply to new gamers? What do you think?
It's not that much of a climb because basically you're using the same iconography as the core game. So some of those little tiles on the picture that you see there pre-baked, they're cool because out and build into them, but when you do get to them, they have like extra shields on them. So you just know that they score more points, but it doesn't do anything crazy. It doesn't summon the dragon or anything. And some of the little roads, if you build them off to the borders of the board, those also have shields on them, so they're effectively worth more points.
Okay.
And one of the really fun things about this is if you cover up one of the little, I guess they're towns or little town icons on there, if you bury one of those, you get to take a free turn. So it's kind of like when you play with the builder, if you add onto that building, you get to take an extra tile. In this case, you cover something up and you get to take another little turn. So that makes for some fun moments too.
And that is Carcassonne The Maps. You can, is it out in the stores or online?
Yeah,
or where can you get it?
You can get it from the Carcassonne's website in Germany. I don't know if their web shop's open with all these things going on right now, but I've ordered from them at least once a year for the last forever. And they will send these out in big poster tube to you, and you get them that way. And it's totally worth it, in my opinion. I think they're fantastic.
Check it out, Carcassonne The Maps. It's something I'm excited about, especially I've got the France map. I know you played the Germany map. I've got the France map up there on the screen. I want to try that one out. BJ from Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Jonny Pac, who's been talking about games. And one of the things that we've been looking at off screen, and some of the comments are coming from the chat crew, your Cromer and Kiesling collection. Look at this thing, Jonny Pac. I know they're all little babies and you're not going to want to tell me, but there's got to be one in there. What's the ones that stand out for you?
Well, coming down to my favorite would be Colosseum. Now that's just Cromer and without Kiesling on that particular one. And I do have the deluxe TMG one, and I do have the original Days of Wonder one. So I would say, for many reasons, that's just one of my favorite games of all time, and it's also one of their games, his games. As far as collaborations, I'd say Porta Nigra is a fantastic new one. I know it's a little undersung. You can get it cheap online, which is good, but it's a fantastic game. Everybody that plays it, or you see a Twitter picture with it on there, just raving about how fun it is and how awesome it is. And it just didn't seem to get that limelight buzz whenever it came out.
When we first got into the Gumbo, we played it. I mean, every week for a while. We loved the fact that visually, and this is, I guess this is like a lot of Cromer and Kiesling's games, but it has a visual appeal as you build those little tower tiles going up. it's got the juicy, delicious decisions of, man, I really need to get to that next space, but it's gonna if I remember right, it costs you coins or whatever the currency is there, if you really want to make that move. And then also it's the focus. You know, you can't do everything in the game, right? You can't do everything. And everybody, you're getting jealous because other people are making these big stacks of tiles, or they're going over here and getting these points. And if you try to do a little bit of everything, it seems like it's kind of a weaker strategy. You kind of got to be strong in one of the areas. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. There's a few things interesting about this, because from the outside you might look at it and say this looks a little bit like Torres, right? And you might think, just like city building games, oh, it must all be about the stacking of these things. It is, these towers, but there's also a lot of other things that are interesting about it, in that you're talking about the majorities, what these are worth. And there's kind of a strange thing is when you you get your tower piece, and they're colored in a sense. They're always gray, but when you get one from a blue market, it's a blue tower, and then you house it in your blue tower area, and then when you
Right.
build it, it falls into a blue area. And so there's that, which is kind of invisible maybe from the photographic standpoint, but from the gameplay standpoint, that's very vivid, and creates some interesting decisions. And then the action selection method is fascinating too, because you have a hand of cards of a symmetrical deck that everybody has, and then you can take a subset of those actions per card that you play. And there's ways to spend tokens to even do more actions than what the card would normally limit you to do, and that in itself is fun. And then there's this inflection point, which is fascinating. Is the game kind of comes to a halfway point, and you've got your score track, and you have to decide how many of those points you're going to just keep as points, and how many of those you're going to cash out as money to
I forgot
fund your
about that.
second half of the game. And that is such a moment where it's amazing.
And if I remember right, you do it in player order, so you might even have an idea as to what you want, and then Jonny Pac goes all in on points, and you're like, oh wow,
right? Yeah.
he just jumped me by 10 points.
Yeah, you could go on money, you can go really lean on that. You're trying to look at how much did I spend on the first half of the game, what kind of a margin do I need to stay competitive. And it's just one of those ideas, like, who would even think of that? Well, these guys would. But
You know what else I
yeah,
like
it's
about the
just
game? And that's these cards over here, that card market. You know, you played the game more than me. I've probably only played it 7 or 8 times, but so I don't remember the names of them. But there's the chain of cards that really get you, I want to say like 56 or 58 points, some big number. But you have to hit it perfectly. I mean, you got to get all, you got to keep building up to get that third one. And whoever starts on that track, all of a sudden it becomes like tap the leader, whack-a-mole. Everybody's going to be gunning for that one player, because I'll tell you, you get that many points out of these cards, you might be the chip leader. So people are going to attack you. Again, there's more than one way to win the game, but it's not really a point salad. You're not really doing a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You got to kind of get good at some of the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it has very good focal points, and even that set collection thing doesn't feel like it was just oh, this game isn't complex enough, go collect some cards off the side. Those work in a very interesting way, because they're based on certain criteria, and then you've got these cards that let you follow these prerequisites to build up to what you're talking about, and it kind of funnels to that point. And yeah, there's just a lot of really cool things, and I would say everything ties together really well in the game.
Verla wants to know, what's the best player count for it? I've played it every player count, 2, 3, and 4. I think it plays well. I don't think it goes to 5. I think it just goes to 4, right?
So I've played it. I think
2
I
to
played
4.
it only 3-player, but 3 player is kind of my favorite player count. So that's not an anomaly. If I can get a group of 3, that's my
Well,
preferred.
Verla, I've played it all of them, 2 to 4, and I think it plays well at all of them, because the decisions are there. Again, it's sort of micro decisions where you're not spending a lot of time on your turn, so the turns move fast. And when you get to that halfway point, that's when everybody at the table goes, "Wow, that makes this game." And that is it's Porta Nigra from Stronghold Games. Although you might have the Eggerspiel version, I'm not sure.
I have the Stronghold one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And like you said, it's usually for a good price out there if you look for it in the wild. BJ from More Game Gumbo, I've got my guest here, Jonny Pac. We're going to be talking about his game lines of Lydia in a little while, but we're also talking about some of those spicy games that we have played recently. And one of the games that I wanted to talk about, I know we got to talk about your favorite Cromer and Kiesling game. Blue Orange sent me a game. Have you heard of Dragon Market?
I'm not sure. I don't
The,
think so. I
the
think I know
reason
the
I
name
bring
maybe, but
Yeah, the reason I bring this game up is because of something that you and I talked about offline, and also about the designer diary that you posted on BGG. So Dragon Market was a game they sent me for review, and it was billed as a game that 7+ can play as an age, all the way up to adults, with a very simple rule set. Johnny, the whole rule set really could be fit on one page. It takes 2 pages, but it's one of those where it's got some illustrations on how to play. The
yeah.
game is super simple. Basically, you got this big map here. It's bigger than this. It folds out. You're going to build out the map with all these little boats with sailors on them.
Cool.
On those boats, you're going to stack these little chips. And the chips represent, like, I don't know, a dozen or so, maybe 20 different commodities that you get. Cats or bonsai trees or teacups or different things. And each one of us plays a little tiny air. And we start on our corner of the board and rolling these cool little wooden dice. I love wooden dice. I don't know about you, man.
Me too.
Like Takanoko dice, I just love them. You get either 6, 7, or 8 points. So the decision making for young kids that can play 7, 8, 9, it's very simple. Roll the dice, take that many points to move the boats around, get onto the boats without hitting these sailors, because you can't go past the sailors, and figure out the puzzle of trying to collect it. But since there's 4 players on the board, starting in each corner, and each one of them have gold cards. The gold cards are very simple. They show you, hey, these are the 4 things you got to collect. Since everybody's got different goals and they're public, it's very easy to explain. I taught it in like a minute. You get started right away, and the box says 45 minutes. It took us 30 minutes roughly to play. So one of those were good decisions. Here's the downside to it. It's too simple. And that's what I want to talk to you about later on in the show about Lines of Lydia. Playing the base game for people like me and you, it's going to be too simple. The public goals mean everybody can see what everybody's looking for. You know how you can move around. But it comes with an advanced game. The advanced game gives you 2 choices of these cards. There's less things to collect, but at the bottom, look at that. Iconography on every one of the cards. When you finish the objective, you get a bonus. Maybe you turn your ship one more time. Maybe you can skip over water to jump to another ship. Maybe you take another turn. Now that, hidden objectives, a simple rule set, and player interaction as you're moving it around, and you can do all of that in 30 minutes, sign me up. What do you think?
That sounds cool. I definitely want to play that. I like their games a lot of times, so it's always something. If they got a new release, I try to keep my ear to the horn for that one. That sounds cool. It sounds like you could kind of leverage maybe finishing one card and then comboing into the next maneuver, right? And so that could create those neat little clever moments.
So we're playing with Matt's girlfriend Lauren, and she was way behind us, but all of a sudden she figured out, if I put 3 boats lined up together, I'm gonna run real quick, pick up both of the things I need, and see what happens with the cards. She pulled out the cards, and they were relatively close. We're not paying attention, right? We're like, oh, she's way behind us. She moves the 2 boats, scoots across, grabs the other things, and she's running back. And Matt and I are looking, wow, this game's almost over. So you're never really out of the game. If you can line up the boats correctly, you can get in. I just say for gamers like us, hobby gamers out there, a little too simple if you're getting Dragon Market for regular gameplay. Good for kids, though. If you've got kids 7, 8, 9, 10, I think they would have fun. But I think you really need to bring in those advanced cards to have any kind of fun.
Sure.
And that's Dragon Market. Yeah, Dragon Market from Blue Orange Games. BJ from Game Gumbo. I've got my guest Jonny Pac here, and Johnny has played a game I haven't got to play, and I'm really jealous about it. Glenmore 2: The Chronicles. I'm going to see if I can come up with a picture of it, and you tell me what is going on with Glenmore 2: The Chronicles. Is it something so complicated? Have they changed so much of the original game that I'm not even going to recognize it, or is it something you recommend to the chat crowd?
So you've played the original from back in the day?
I did a long time ago, so you'll have to refresh my memory. I don't remember a lot about it.
I'll get the big board. So we can kind of do a scale comparison of this.
Sure.
So here's what you're kind of talking about, which was the old classic rail game.
Yeah, let me solo you up there, since I'm having trouble pulling up the picture. I got one here, but I'd rather show you. So,
and then we got this, and so that's of course quite a question. It's like, what's in this box that didn't fit in that box originally? Because this is pretty hefty. And so upgrades, which is a big part of it. We're talking big, chunky things instead of 8mm cubes that they used for all the goods before. We're talking big, beautiful custom pieces with stickers on them, and every meeple is custom. They've got kilts on them. It's amazing. The tiles are really thick, beautiful artwork on them. And so the core game itself is very similar to the original. There's actually a few of the rules have been cleaned up, so it's actually more elegant in some ways. And then there is a sideboard, and that might be something that looks maybe like the side map of Orleans, where you see these different nodes and bonuses and things for connecting to that. And that's the thing that if people walk by and they see this game, they go, ooh, that looks neat. And then they go, wait a second, what's that? Because it looks pretty new. And I'm going to give you a little example of what that looks like here. So this is the sideboard of it. And so,
ooh, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So you're building out a little network of connecting into these nodes, which give you bonuses effectively and little special powers. And they're all pretty simple. It's like get extra money, get some whiskey, get an extra character, or get a card from the tile from the discard pile. Nice little things like that. So that's basically what you got there. And then the rest of the box has these chronicles, because that's what it's called. So Glenmore 2, the Chronicles. So, and they kind of recommend that you play with a couple of these. I think one or two per session. And I'm gonna hold this up. Here we go. So it's got a nice little game tracing. So they got these little tuck boxes that each have a kind of a micro expansion inside them. And so you could play them however you like. You could pick one out that sounds interesting. Some of them are by guest designers, like one of them's by the Carcassonne designer did one, and they each add a little something special to the game that's wasn't there before. And sometimes they're very simple, and sometimes they're more complicated. But they say even in the rule books, this will add 10 more minutes to the playtime. Rules complexity level is medium, that sort of thing. So you could even kind of guess what you're looking at as far as that goes. And then there's one extra one you can pick up that doesn't come in the core set that has one of the coolest meeples ever. I'm going to pull this out. We've got Nessie, so the Loch Ness Monster. So
is that like what is it? Is it a goose?
It's the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, the Loch Ness Monster. Oh, I got it now.
Yeah, this like little guy.
That. Oh, wow, look at it. It's Nessie.
Yeah. So,
and so there's a module cool. That has Nessie in it.
Yeah. So that's
now I have
a
picture down below you. You may not. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Sorry.
I was going to tell you that I found the picture I was looking for. It's a picture that I found on somebody's Twitter where they posted playing Glenmore 2 Chronicles on Tabletopia. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. It's either Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator, but I think that's Tabletopia because the bags look pretty big.
Oh, that looks nice on there, huh?
How close to that, is it a good representation of what the game looks like on your table?
Yeah. I mean, here you got just your basic meeples and some things like that. So, the real deal, you got the custom shapes on a few things like that. Trying to see what the resources look like. I don't see too many of those. I see victory points. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely good looking.
So Verla said, hey, I want to play Glenmore 2, but can't play it now. Let's remember, we've got the coronavirus going around, but we do have online gaming, and that's what I've been doing a lot. I know that you're not a big online gamer yet, but people out there, they can find Yucata, they can find Board Game Arena, Tabletopia, Tabletop Simulator, and here's a game, a big Euro game, Glenmore 2, the Chronicles that you could play right there. I saw Clans of Caledonia is on Board Game Arena. Hoping to play that this weekend with some of the people from Sinlaw. So there's some opportunities, Verla, if you want to get out there and get some gaming in, even of our beloved Euros that we want to play. So thumbs up to the new edition of Glenmore 2.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's probably my most played game since Essen. I'm super into it. I love teaching. It's a quick teach even, so that's a plus.
Have you seen it all?
Have I seen it all? I haven't gotten to all the expansions. I've been through most of them though, and I have read over the ones I haven't played yet. So there's one of them that's a.
They said we got to be careful. We don't want to spoil anything, so we're not going to go into too much depth. But
they're not like campaigning or legacy stuff. So I mean, the cat's out of the bag. But if you want to look into it, but if you want to be surprised, you can. When you get the game, the talk boxes will be flat, and you have to construct them and actually punch the stuff and put them into each little box yourself, so you don't get that whole like Machi Koro Legacy thing where you have no idea what's in here and you go mind blown. So it's more of a you know what you're doing when you're doing it thing.
BJ from Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Jonny Pac. We're talking games. We've got a little bit of time, probably time for one more game to fit in there. And that game that I want to talk about, have you gotten a chance to play The Crew yet? The Search, the Quest for Planet 9.
Yeah, I did get a chance to play that. I got to play it at a New Year's party. So we got to play, well, I saw it at a New Year's party with some people who had it, and then I got to play it shortly there afterwards too. So I've had kind of two experiences, but both of them was with the German version with the translated rulebook that we were working off of.
That's what I did too at BGG Con. Dave and Carlos and I played with a copy that had a set of English rules, but it was like something printed out, you know. So I did finally get in. You know, it was out of stock everywhere in the world. They had to hurry up and get an English edition out because I think the buzz from BGG Con and Essen was so great that Cosmos realized, hey, we got to get this English edition out. Came out in March. I got my copy. Of course, we're stuck in quarantine. As you can see, I did get a chance to play, but that is a play with my family, the people I'm living with. So, but the rest of my plays from The Crew are what we call, whoa, that's the wrong picture. There we go. That's a great picture. I don't want to shortchange it. That's me and you at Sierra West over at, and that's Karen Knobloch. From, that's Karen Knobloch, right?
Yeah, she did Consumption.
So back to The Crew. So what we did is, while waiting, I already have the Cosmos can't get mad at me because I already own the game. But Carlos found a version that we could kind of modify a little bit and put some of our own faces in there, and we call it Space Gumbo. But it's really The Crew, and we've been playing it. Oh man, we've played up to mission 14. How far have you gotten so far?
I haven't gotten that far. So I played it with an interesting group. I have one friend that is like the guru of trick takers, and he has every weird trick take you'd think of. He gets them from any country, you name it. And him and his wife are very, very into trick takers. Then I played with a couple other people one of them who hadn't played trick taker, and then somebody else who had. So it was kind of that mixed thing where you got the savvy players a little bit teaching and quarterbacking a little bit around it, but we still had a good time figuring out the methodology of sorting out some of these puzzles and even talking through it a little bit. Like, if you take it, then I won't take it. If this is out there, then you can't possibly play a trump, right? So figuring out those little puzzles was fun. And then I think it would take me like a serious, get a hardcore group and actually see how far you can go along the path that way.
What I mean, people are everybody that I've introduced this to has just raved and just loved this game. What is the attraction? What do you think? What makes this game so special?
I'm not, I scratched my head a little bit about that because I think it's a good game, and I think it's doing something neat with trick taking that hasn't been done before. And we look at something else that's kind of an evergreen, might be like Niet, where it's like, yeah, it's a trick taker, but it has this other mechanic, this other things happening that makes it really special. And I think this game's in that. And given that co-op games are a fun thing, it's a small co-op game too, because you sometimes think of these big legacy ones, and you think about something like Hanabi, perhaps, that it has a small footprint. You can get that experience at a table, and it's maybe it's because it's also offering a different experience in that it's card place. You're not saving the world from a pandemic or trying to solve a puzzle, and you have a presence on the board with a bunch of pawns or anything. It's more it's cooperative card play is a little different experience, and that's why I say maybe it's more on the Hanabi side of co-ops than other things are.
Here's what I think it is. So I am the worst of the players in our group. I mean, everybody else is better than me at trick taking. But in my family, when I played my family play, my son's girlfriend had never played a trick taking game before in her life. So if I started out with a game, which I love, a game like Diamonds or any other game like that, there's kind of a steep learning curve. You got to figure out how the game is played. What does The Crew do for you? Right out of the box, it teaches you how to play a trick-taking game, one element at a time. It's ingenious the way, I think his name is Thomas Sang, if I remember right. It's ingenious. The designer just keeps introducing elements that help you to get better and better at the trick-taking games. That's number one. Number two that I really like is we don't often get cooperative little card games like that where we're really rooting for each other. And here's a game where it might take you a couple times to get past one, but when you do, there's just this high five moment, or this you feel clever that you figured out this little moment, and the game doesn't take that long. So I think that's the two things. It's got a little bit of that adrenaline, that little dopamine burst every time you make a good play, and you feel clever, and you can share that with your friends. So
yeah, maybe in a way that's a little bit like some of the rush you can get from playing the mind, right? And so you get those.
well,
Each round is pretty short, but then you get these moments where the Hail Mary play or some crazy thing happens and everybody gets excited. So there could be that too. Definitely.
hot take: the Gumbo crew is not big fans of the mine. We've been playing the crew with Alex from Alex Goldsmith from the Dukes of Dice, and he loves the mine. It was his top 2 game of the year that year, and we keep picking on him that, hey, this is just like the mine, except it's fun. So I mean, and again, we're joking because the mine is a good experience, but if given the choice between the two, I would play the crew over the mind. So I don't know about you. Maybe you feel a little different.
Back to it more.
What's that?
Yeah, I think you could probably come back to the crew more because it's got that leveling up thing over and over. And some, I don't know. I don't play a lot of video games, but there's old video games where you just play the level over and over, and it just gets faster and faster and harder. And the mind is kind of like that, where it ramps up to the point where it gets really hard really quick. And with something like the old game like Lemmings or something, which is kind of like where they introduce one rule at a time, you end up getting addicted and playing all day because it's bringing it on at a pace, and there's headroom to keep exploring, and it's doable even at those more difficult levels.
I think you're right, and that's the crew. You can find it out there now from Cosmos Games, and hey, it's not expensive. It's easy to teach, and it's easy to play. I love it. It's one of my games of the year. The crew from Cosmos Games. BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Jonny Pac, and Jonny, you've got a game that I got to try. There's a little bit of time left on Kickstarter. Now you're an old seasoned pro. You've published so many games, but somehow you seem to still be excited about this game here from Bellwether Games, and it's called Lines of Lydia. Beautiful game. Tell us all about it.
All right. Yeah. So that's on Kickstarter right now. It's in the last couple days. So I think it's ending tomorrow. So that's the last chance to get in. There's one of those things. There's not going to be a big, long catch-all pledge manager thing afterwards where you can do late pledges and do this whole thing. So if you want to get in on it, it's kind of like do it now. And then it'll come out in the fall for retail. So it's aimed for Essen release. Okay. So yeah, it's more of a complexity level. Let's just say that it's a little more complex than Fistful of Meeples. We'll give it that, but it's not like a big sprawling Euro game either. And it does fit in under an hour thing. I've never even run a play test that's run over an hour, I don't think. So it's always under an hour, even at max play count with even slightly slower players. So it's snappy, and I wanted it to be a gateway game. We're part of the gateway group on Facebook, and I like that group.
Say hey to Chuck Yeager. Old Chuck runs a great group over there.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I really I don't know. I don't look down on gateway games at all. I love them. So it's one of those things where part of me wants to make one, right? So it's and I've kind of felt different in the past where if I've made a big complex game, it's like I want to share that with somebody, but sometimes I can't. I can just open them up and be like, hey, look at all this neat stuff. And some people like this.
Because this is different.
I feel like this is neat
different from Coloma and Sierra West. Those are bigger games, longer games, meatier games. And Lines of Lydia, if anybody hasn't checked it out, go to BGG and check out the Designer Diaries. You did a really good job with that one. It's succinct. It talks a lot about it. And one of the things that I liked, you talked about it, a quote, streamlined gateway game. And that's a tough line to walk. Jonny, how did you walk that streamlined gateway game?
So I've been looking at a lot of things I love in gateway games, and somehow how like you could take something that's fiddly or confusing in one game, and then some designer will somehow come up with. Just think about iconography, the ability to judge things at a distance, like clear icons, simple colors, wooden components that stand out, and just even one little thing with the game is every card can be upgraded. You get these little engine cards, and they do stuff, and you upgrade them. And there's a simple trick. It's like the front of the card will gain you a benefit, and it'll give you a number of victory points. And when you upgrade the card, you're paying its cost the first time you buy it, and then you have it. Then you pay that cost again on one of your turns, and you can flip it over, and it does exactly double what it does on the front. And so you don't have to wonder what qualitative thing changes on the front and back side. You just go, oh, cool, I can double down on this card and make it do twice as good of a thing for me. It's going to be a 2-point card is going to be worth 4 points. If it generates me a red resource, it'll generate me 2 red resources with the same input trigger. So things like that were considered, and even where there could be some crazy cool card that would require a wall of text to read in some combo, those kinds of things weren't even considered in this. It's really been one of those things. If there's a clean and elegant way of doing it, it could make the cut. If there's not, then it needs to go in a different game or just not exist. And so kind of worked off that. And then another thing, main inspiration for the mechanical side was the bag building aspect. Is
the bag management.
I
thought that was a cool name. Bag
it's
management.
evolved into bag management. Because originally, when I first started working out, you could have more or fewer meeples in your bag, and you'd actually build to a degree. But we found that I like bag builders. I love Altiplano. I know that not as many people like that as Orleans. I like that game too. I like Siberia, but I love Quacks. So I like that. And I think one of the sometimes one of the complaints with those games is the kind of evergreen nature of some of the things, or the fact that it's always replenished. You could put a whole bunch of one type of thing in a bag builder game, and it just might not come out at the right time, or the same thing might come out over and over and over again, even though it's feels against the odds for what you've put in there, right? And in a push your luck game like Quacks, it's a ton of fun because you just get to these threshold points, and you're just playing the odds, and the crazy things happen. It's either good or bad, and you have a moment. But in maybe a strategic game like Orleans or something, where you got this linchpin piece that won't come out, that can be a little bit frustrating. And so during playtesting of this, I would watch people and they go, I put like X amount of this color in there and I just never can pull it out. And you see like, it's been 4 turns and it hasn't come up yet. And I think that they were right in that assessment. Like their frustration was justified. So I wanted to think about like what odds can people really deal with well. And if I thought about bringing it down just to 4 meeples, is one of those things where you can cut that pie up in 4 different ways, and it makes sense to people's intuition. If it's all 4 of the same color, that's 100%. If it's 2 of something, 2 of something else, 50-50, right? You just know the odds and you feel the odds. And so so I wanted people to have that sensibility when they bag. And if they wanted none of something in the bag, they could call that out very easily. Just get rid of that green, and you're not going to have greens popping up and getting in your way until you need them. And so that was a big consideration. And I feel like, again, I would love to introduce more bag management or bag building to a wider audience through this medium.
The last thing I want to talk about is the wild resources. You made them coins, and I can't think of another. Well, I mean, there's a couple of games that do that, but that was a cool twist to this game where the Lydians eventually come out, and eventually you start getting these coins, and they really change the dynamic in the game, sort of in that first third. It's almost like a 3-reel movie, and the second reel starts ramping up with more action.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We talked about Porta Nigra earlier. Is that it has like an inflection point where the game pauses, and then you do this thing, and it switches over to another gear. And there's other games that have natural points like that, where like going green in Dominion is when you start to buy victory point cards and kind of collapse your engine and run for points. And that's,
or you just keep running your engine until the game ends. You know, you could do it that way. Just keep running. You keep building up your engine and never run it like I do. I mean, it's so much fun to build up the engine.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those things. It's like that's one of the, you know, the engines are great in Dominion, but it's also really neat to see that social dynamic where it's like, how long do you play chicken before you pivot into points? And so thematically, what's going on in this game is you're trading and bartering, and you're getting your basic resources from the lands, and you're buying cards that boost those things. So you're getting your olive oil and such like that, right? And everything has a very specific cost. If I want to get this card and it costs an olive oil, well, I need to spend an olive oil, because the source where I'm getting that's what they're willing to trade for me. And that's more trying to reflect a barter system. And as the Lydians come into play, they are the ones that minted the first coins. And so you got this coin currency where effectively, if you think about it, what is what is a coin in currency? It's a wild medium for us for reals. And so where some games might have a premium where you could spend a coin to fudge this, or you could spend a gold to do this. Sometimes they're like that at a premium, but this one really leans into it heavily, where you'll meet the Lydians, the golden meeples. They come into the pool, and you pull them out, and then you start to trade your goods with them, and then you've got this stack of coins. The stack of coins is two things. One, it's wild, which is good, and the other one, it's the linchpin for the purple cards. And purple cards, easiest way to explain them would be like something like the last round in Seven Wonders. You've also got some cards that will score you based on what you've accomplished earlier, like best military or your neighbor's yellow cards, that kind of thing. So in this sense, in order to get big points, you're going to get these conditional scoring cards, and you can't get those without coins. So it's there's no workaround. And so that's kind of that thing where, again, you get that inflection point where you build up an engine, you build up your basic points, you got the stuff, you switch to getting into those coins. And then when you get into coins, it's not just a wild free-for-all. It's now you need to pivot into getting these cards, but these cards need to be validated by what your engine was in order to get there. And the market doesn't replenish, unlike where you're going to see lots and lots of cards coming out. You use a subset of the cards at the beginning, you set it up, you can observe those, no more, no less come out. And so you can actually start to plan and be like, all right, this is where the costs are, these are where these are distributed, and these are some cards maybe I could leverage to get a good strategy here. And that's going to be a little different from game to game, depending on what flops. And then you can play to that. And so all that happens, and believe it or not, all that stuff happens in like 30 minutes. So it's a quick arc. We're not talking 45 minutes. You're going to see the first coin trickle in. It's like you said,
this is definitely a 1 hour wonder with micro decisions, little tiny decisions that you have to make that flip over really quickly. So Lines of Lily fits right in there. Hey, there is one thing I wanted to ask you about. What is it like working with Bellwether Games? This is your first product with them, your first game with them. What is it like? This is just between me and you. No one else is going to know about this. Give me the scoop.
Well, we did have the lost episode where I raved about it there, so I can rave about it some more. So, okay. I've been working on with different publishers on different projects and to different degrees, and I've usually have several prototypes that are available at a given time to be acquired. And this was one I don't know, I kind of, not just to be weird, but I kind of fell in love with it. I just didn't really want to just like hand it off and just be like, maybe it'll come out in 3 years. It goes in the back of some company's queue, and then we'll see how it shakes out. I just wanted to make sure it found the right home, right? I wanted it to be brought to the world in a certain way. And so Dennis actually reached out to me and said, hey, do you have any, light to medium Euro games? Because I'd like to do that. And he tends to make like one game a year. Yeah. And he puts everything into it. And that was just like, that's one of those passion project things where it's just like, that's exactly how I want to work on this, with somebody who's going to have that attention to detail and care about it as much as I do. And, so even when we were negotiating, I was like, so how's your company operate? What's your future plans? Who does your graphic design? Oh, cool. You do that? Neat. And which artist do you use? Oh, neat. And I looked at Daryl's artwork, and,
Good looking artist.
He's very versatile, like extremely versatile. And but you can tell it's his artwork too. He's got his style, so his stamp is on there. And it was just cool. I like the whole package, how Bellwether operates, and we even talking about future, like where do you want to see this game, in a year from now, 2 years from now? Where do you think this can grow and go? And that all just really, like, it struck a chord with me, and I felt good about it. And so I was just like, let's do this. And he took his time, thought about it, and
Johnny, there's somebody knocking on your door, man. I don't know if you can see that.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody knocking on your door. Who is that? Oh my God, it's Dennis from Bellwether Games. What a surprise! Dennis,
I was
what are you doing here?
Back, I was thinking, is there a reflection in the TV in the back window? Is my neighbor coming over?
No. So yeah, Dennis, we were just talking about the production from Bellwether Games. You have your mic on, Dennis? Yeah, we can't hear you. Hold on. Now we're ready. Hey, Dennis.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry about that. I had you on mute. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
So we built you up there. What an entrance.
We're visiting with you and Jonny Pac about Bellwether Games production lines. Lydia, still a little bit of time left on Kickstarter. I don't know if you heard all that, but Jonny Pac's been raving about the production. And I got to tell you, you do make one of the most beautiful productions. So in the games that I've had with you. So Lines of Lydia, people can trust that when Lines of Lydia comes out, it's going to have that personal bellwether stamp, right?
Yes, it will.
How's it been working with Jonny Pac?
Oh, fantastic. I've just really enjoyed it. He has such a great mind for game design in particular. So any issue or problem that comes up with the game, I know that I can take it back to Jonny, and he's going to work on it and come up with way better even solution than any of the ideas that I had. So just the way that he works all the mechanics together, the really simple fixes to the problems that I think some designers would take the problem and just go overboard with complexity, adding extra elements to the game, and suddenly the game becomes something totally different than you expected. And one of the ways that Jonny works is that he's always dialing it back, make it simpler. How can we fix this in a better way that's going to actually solve the problem and not make the game something different?
So while you're here, there was 2 questions that people asked me off screen to bring up with you guys, and I actually talked to, I think, one of them with Jonny already, but I don't know about the second one. With the production, we saw a lot of things that you guys added to plus the game, as Walt Disney used to say. We've seen that. The color issues. One of my guys had a little problem with the stark, not stark, but the the kind of the Crayola colors, the blue, red, green, yellow. That was very popular many years ago. Now we're a little bit more sensitive about color blindness. Do you have any plans for that with the project?
We're working on it. It's not one of our focus during the Kickstarter campaign, but in the post Kickstarter campaign, we're going to be working on how can we tweak the colors a little bit so that we don't have to make major change, but at the same time, it's more accessible to everyone. That is something that we think about, that I'm thinking about every game I'm making, is how can I make it as accessible as possible. At the same time, there's certain limitations to that as far as other colors that are in the game, and how can you navigate those other colors so that you're not making colors that are too similar to related to other elements that are also going on in that play. So that's something I'm working on with Daryl right now, and especially more after we get into the kind of post Kickstarter campaign time frame. We're going to be trying to just tweak it, probably just small changes to make it more accessible. But yeah, it's in our mind.
Okay, cool. Any last minute surprises for? Is the Kickstarter ending tomorrow? Is that right?
Actually, it's Thursday, so we're just under 48 hours from right now.
Any little surprises? Any gumbo scoop for the next 48 hours?
Well, there are some more stretch goals we haven't revealed yet, so you'll have to kind of stay tuned for that. But we're waiting to see kind of how what funding looks like over the next 48 hours and what we can add reasonably without. We just want to make the right decision, at the end of the campaign. So we're going to be watching it really closely now and see kind of what rate of funding we start picking up over this last time frame.
Hey, chat crew out there, look, Steve has posted the Kickstarter link to it. You got Jonny Pac, who's had just some great designs that the Gumbo has enjoyed, and you've got Bellwether Games. Dennis will tell you the story. Brian taught me Coldwater Crown, and we immediately bought not 1, 2 copies there at BGG Con because we loved not only I want something that looks good on the shelf and looks good on the table and is still fun. And man, Dennis, you keep knocking it out of the park on every production. Even the sample you sent me, I'm not sure what stage it was that you sent us. It still looked gorgeous on the table. I mean, I don't know if it was a PPC or just a prototype or what, but Jonny Pac, I mean, Dennis knocks it out of the park with these things, man.
Well, we go all out on the prototype. It's one of the main ways that we're promoting the game. So I actually go to the manufacturer and I say, hey, let's do the best quality prototype we can. And it's good for me too in quality control and saying, hey, we've actually gone to the manufacturer already and they can already do all this stuff. So when I go back to the manufacturer, I'm not nervous about, I'm not sure if they can make this piece the way I want. It's like, I already know what they can do because they've sent it to me in a media sample form. So there is going to be some improvement. There is going to be a step up from what you have, but obviously it's close to final what you're looking at.
How much, Thomas wants to know how much input that a game designer has in quality, color schemes, aesthetics, and all that. Now, this is an unusual situation because, Jonny, you're actually a developer. So on other people's designs, you have a lot. But Dennis, in this production, Lines of Lydia, have you guys had a good partnership there? A lot of exchange?
Yeah, actually, quite a bit. One of the things early on that Jonny and I talked about is kind of me keeping him in the loop as far as art pieces are coming in, as decisions are being made. Let's talk about, let's just look at them together and see kind of if we have any collaborative kind of bonus to it. And so we've been doing that pretty much the whole time. Anything that comes in, we've been talking about it, and Jonny's had a lot of feedback that's really made the game aesthetics look better, and So I've been really appreciative of that, as well as just his ability to help with the actual mechanics of the game. So his input has been really useful, and it's honestly made a better overall product for sure.
And that's Lines of Lydia from Bellwether Games. Still some time for the Kickstarter. We're in that 48-hour mark, so we're looking for, get out there and support this game. You're going to love the way the production comes out. And of course, if you like Jonny Pac's designs, you're going to get a 1-hour wonder or even less version of a Jonny Pac design. Now we have another special guest coming on. I want to invite our board game ambassador, Verla, because this is a board game show. And if we got a board game show, we got to play a board game, guys, right?
That's right.
What's up, Verla? Verla, you and Jonny Pac actually have met before, isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have her mic off. Sorry about that. Hey, Verla, you're on. You've actually met Jonny Pac, isn't that right?
Yeah, we did at Essen last fall. He taught me a fistful of meatballs, and I skunked it.
So, Dennis, you went to Essen also. Is that right?
I was there, but I don't think I met Verla.
Okay.
Hello.
Well, Steve O'Rourke,
hi.
The name father, is going to be helping us out with the chat crew. Chat crew, we're going to play a game. This is a board game show, so we got to play it. We're going to play the Just One game presented by our friends at Game Toppers LLC. Make your game nights a showstopper. Dennis, when you play on a Game Topper. I wrote that copy myself. So anyway, let's get right to the game. So has everybody played Just One before?
I actually have not.
Oh, good. This makes it even better. All right. So Just One is very simple. What we're trying to do, I've got a baker's dozen of words. They're all somewhat related to Jonny Pac in some way or another, right? We're going to come up with clues for it. You should be able to see a chat screen on the side called Host Chat, maybe. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
There we go.
Did y'all see me say hello there?
Yep.
That work?
See if I got that.
All right. Can you see that?
No, am I not supposed to see it?
You should see it somewhere. Hopefully you can see that. If not,
chat,
Johnny,
I see the public chat. There we go.
Oh, you got it? There's public chat and then there's the host chat.
Got it.
All right, so you should see me checking in and Verla checking in and Dennis checking in. All right, so that's how we're going to communicate. Steve's going to be running the game with the chat crew side, and what we got to do is this is how it works, Dennis. So, yeah, Steve says the gumbo growth, Johnny. I guess it is Jonny Pac inspired, but really it comes from the coronavirus. I'm just kind of letting it grow out a little bit. So you don't even want to see the mop that's underneath this hat here. But when we talk about Just One, it's very simple. We're going to think, I have a word. I'm going to give it to you guys secretly, okay? You have to give the chat crew one clue, just one word. That's it. And you got to think of it, and I'll say go, and then you write it in our little host chat, not in the public chat, in the host chat. If any of us have the same clues, unfortunately, those clues get knocked out, and the chat crew is going to have to figure it out from whatever clues are left over. That's it, Dennis. That's the whole game. You just got to think of a clue that corresponds to the word that I'm getting. No, I'm not working on a mullet.
Although don't think what we're thinking.
Listen, the neck hair was so thick that when we were laying in the grass, some ants were crawling, and they were doing like a hedge mage, like Alice in Wonderland. And I was like, it's amazing. They could create a maze back there. But anyway, so let's go with the first one. Are we ready? We ready for the game?
Ready.
All right. So Baker's Dozen. Here we go. We're going to start with it. A molte. Yes, a mole. That's right. A mole. All right. So, somebody's checking in for you, Johnny. Jeff says,
oh,
hey, Jonny Pac.
Hey, Jeff. Hi, Glenn. I saw Glenn saying hi, too.
All right. So the first word I'm going to give to you guys in the host chat. Here it is. Here's the first word. It has something to do with Jonny Pac. All right. So you think of it for a second, and then we all have to think of a clue. I'm going to say ready, set, go. Don't look at the screen. Just type in the word when you think of it, okay? Are we ready?
Ready.
Ready, set, go.
Okay.
We got 3 in, waiting on Jonny Pac's. Okay, here we go. Hey, chat crew, you got a break here. We got four words here. All right, chat crew, here we go. Here are your clues. The clues are, and in no particular order, because I don't want you to know which one was my dumb clue, but stream, Rockies, climb, and Sierras. Okay, now chat crew, we started out easy. Come on, this should be just right up your alley. Don't forget, they're a little bit behind us in the chat crew on with the time delay, so because we have to watch for the swear words. But so 48 hours left in the Kickstarter campaign. Dennis, you pleased with everything that's going on in the world, you still had a successful Kickstarter. You could write a book on doing that. I don't know how you pulled that off.
I don't know if I could write a book, but I'm happy. I'm thankful. I'm glad that we're at where we're at, and I'm glad this game is going to be made because honestly, we just really believe in it. It's an amazing game. I love playing it, and I really wanted to get it out to the world and didn't want to have to delay or wait for something, wait for a different time to do it. So we just pushed forward.
And I'm glad that you guys did. So we got a couple of guesses. It's not right. We got Colorado. We got Sierra West. Any other guesses? Sierra West wouldn't work because one of the words was Sierra. So we got Stream, Rockies, Climb, and Sierras. I don't see anybody getting this one.
Gosh, that'd be obvious.
Yeah. Maybe we're not as smart as we think we are. But, well, and sometimes there is a delay. They'll sometimes their answers will come in a little bit later. But let's call this one as just the opening one. It's Mountain.
All right. Mountain. No late bloomers, huh?
Yeah. So we're a 0 for 1, guys. Verla, we got to do better on this next one. Oh wait, no, there it is. So I told you, there is a little bit of delay, and Thomas and Nick came in. Nick from 90-Second Nerd, look at that coming in. Nick, you just missed it. Steve says Nick got it, but I think Thomas Grieve got him at the. You know what? We're gonna go with Steve. Steve's the final arbiter because he sees the actual Facebook feed. So he says
slow motion reel.
Exactly. He's got to go through the instant replay. All right, here's your next word. Are we ready, guys? Here we go, gang. Here's our next word. You got a couple of seconds to think about it. We had a little trouble last time with this one, Jonny Pac, remember? So, all right. 3, 2, 1. Don't look at the screen. Type it in. Oh, we're good so far. Okay. I guess I'll go with that one. I'm not going to say who's who, but somebody came out from left field with this one. Okay, here we go. So here's your clues, chat crew. We got 4. All 4 of them are good, so you should have a spot with it. We got a mullet or mullet. We got cowboy. We got Stetson, and we got blue. Blue. Interesting. Yeah. Zigging while other people are zagging. I get it. Okay. So I think Zach was coming in on the last one, Zach. So yeah, it was the last clue was mountain. So Nick Shipley got that one. But your clues for this one are mullet, cowboy, Stetson, and blue. I am fully expecting. Oh yeah, there it is. Thomas jumped on it right away. He's got it, and it is hat. Now listen, the clues are going to get tougher there, Jonny Pac. So don't get happy here. Don't get too happy. Okay, here we go. But we want to do well for the chat crew. So far, Nick and Thomas tied on the first one. And Thomas got the second one. Here is the third clue. Are you ready?
Ready.
Here we go.
Yep.
They're getting a little tougher now. They're getting a little tougher. Verla's studying it. All right. I need to think of one. Okay, I got one. All right. 3, 2, 1. Type it in. Wow, chat crew, we're giving you the easy ones here. We did have some people checking in. Yeah, Thomas has got the hat. All right, here we go. Here's your 4 clues. We got prairie, Oregon, prospector, and homesteader. That's pretty good ones. During the Lost episode, no one got this. And remember, Jonny Pac, we struggled to that one. But
we did.
Yeah. This might be. I think these are some better clues. And I didn't actually look at them since then, so that some of these are kind of new to me again. But let's see. So I am curious while we're waiting for the chat crew, who's still considering conventions this summer? Because I know I'm a little hesitant. Anybody?
I'm all in on Essen. So there you go.
Just Essen.
You're in for Essen, you said, Dennis?
Yeah, that's pretty much the convention I focus most of my energy and time on. If I can make it to some other ones just for fun, I will.
Your games fit really well at Essen, I would think.
That's what I fell in love with when I first started getting into gaming as a teenager. It was the German games that interested me, and that's where they are kind of the showcase, the highlight.
Now, Verla, our board game ambassador, now works for Fun Again, right? Fun Again Logistics, the logistics side. Yeah. Any chance you're going back to Essen to take another picture with Jonny?
I am on the schedule to if it happens.
All right, so let's take a look at the chat crew. We got Wagon and we got Trail. We're stumping them out there. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. I think I'm gonna have to call this one. I don't see an answer from Steve, so I think he sees that the crew is stumped. The answer was Pioneer, and that's a tough one. I thought we gave some pretty good clues for that one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I do.
All right, let's go on to the next one. This is a Jonny Pac special. This next one. If you're friends with Jonny Pac, you should get this one right away. This one's going to be tough, I think, for us not to get knocked out. Are you ready? And I'm going to make it quick because that'll make it tough for us not to get knocked out.
Knock myself out.
Yeah, exactly. I got a feeling. All right, here we go. Ready? Here is the word. All right. All right. Think for a second. That's enough time. So start 3, 2, 1. I got it. I got mine. Whoa! Wow. I really expected mine to not make it through, but that's okay. We got some good clues here. So yeah, Steve said no one got that one on Pioneer. That one was too tough. Okay, chat crew, you know a little bit about Jonny Pac. It's a callback in the episode. Let's see if you can get it. We got 4 clues: Chariot, Gladiator, Roman, and Cromer. I'm assuming it's Cromer, not Kramer, but
it's not Western based if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah, exactly. Chariot, Gladiator, Roman, and if you're a Seinfeld fan, it's Kramer, but it's probably Cromer we're talking about. All right, chat crew, what you got there? What you got there? You guys revealed some stretch goals. What do you think was the one that got people pretty excited?
Oh, all the expansions.
What's the one with the big king-looking guy? What's that one?
Yeah, King Cressus.
That's it, King Cressus.
Apparently, it's an actual saying that to say somebody is rich as Cressus, it's a thing, I guess.
Oh, wow.
I've heard that. Rich as Cressus.
Yeah, so that's what it comes from, is this King Cressus who invented coins.
So Luke got it. He said Colosseum, right? Colosseum.
What do you think that got people pretty excited?
I'm getting some feedback from one of y'all. I'm not sure who that is.
What's the one with the big king-looking guy? What's that one?
Yeah,
King Cressus turned on pretty good.
Yeah. All right, so here we go with our next clue. Oh, and the clues get tougher. Let's see if we can get it.
Yeah, so that's what it comes from.
All right, gang here, board game gang here. I'm giving you a couple seconds. 3, 2, 1. Oh, let's see if we can sneak it in. Oh, Johnny. Johnny always coming out of left field. Love it. All right, here we go, chat crew. Let's see how quick you got it. We got New Orleans, which is technically one word. Blues, hands, and bebop. I think we all went I don't know. This would surprise me if anybody gets this one. Let's see.
Really? Oh, man.
You think? I don't know. Maybe so.
Some good clues there.
What you said, Verla?
We have some good clues there.
They are. Man, we'll see. Chat crew, we got New Orleans, blues, hands, and bebop. So, Dennis and Verla, we were talking about our favorite Cromer games before. I think Heaven and Ale, maybe because it's the newest Cromer that I played. What is Cromer, right? It's both of them. Yeah, no, it's
Kiesling and
it's Kiesling and Schmidt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Dennis? And what about you, Ver? Let's start with Dennis. Favorite Cromer or Kiesling?
I need to play more. I think Pillars of the Earth is one. If it is, that's the one I have.
Okay. Verla?
I've played a handful. I've liked everything I've played so far. Heaven and Ale, but I really liked Riverboat.
I haven't played Riverboat yet. I know Johnny's talked about it.
Yeah, that's another Kiesling kind of broke off on his own. He had a kind of a big year. It was Azul came out, Riverboat, Heaven and Ale, and Reworld all came out at the same Essen. And usually he was like, part of the Cromer Kiesling thing. And it was interesting to see him diverge at that point and work on a few other things. And he's, they're making games in parallel and together now. Yeah, that's a great game.
We got somebody checking in. Daryl T Jones, the artist from Lines of Lydia. Hello, thanks for watching, Daryl, man. And congratulations on the project, man. The artwork came out great. So Nick snuck in there right before a couple other people with jazz. Let's move on to the next one. Let's see. We'll kind of take a break from the tough ones and see if we got it. Can y'all see that one? Should I put it all in caps?
Yep.
I got it? Okay. All right, so here's the next clue. Let me think. Oh yeah, I got one. 3, 2, and this is the one me and Jonny Pac argued about, but I still say it's a good clue.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm a little late. There's an email popped up right in the way. So I'm not looking at anybody else's thing.
Yeah, so good job. Nick and Thomas are tied with 2 apiece. Let's see if we can break that tie with this one. Waiting on Johnny. Let's see what we got. There it is. Okay, I think I know where you're going with that one. All right, so is that North? Okay, so we got Dodgers, North, Sierras, and Hollywood. Good clues, but are they specific enough? We're gonna see. Specific enough. Yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry about that. So this will be Lions of Lydia will be the Essen release for this year?
Yes.
Is that what we're expecting?
Yes.
All right. So Luke says Los Angeles, not quite it. I think the clues would kind of direct you that way. Dodgers, Sierras. Well, Sierras wouldn't direct you to LA though, right? No. Yeah. Hollywood and North. So Dodgers, Sierras, Hollywood, and North. Yeah, we're getting a lot of Los Angeles.
That's a pretty broad array.
Yeah, we're getting a lot.
I don't usually think of Los Angeles. I don't usually think of North.
No, not at all.
No,
we think of SoCal when that happens.
So we got to think about how to synthesize those contradictory clues, right?
Yeah, Dodgers. Yeah, exactly. How to synthesize those. So, Verla, what's your gaming been like here during the coronavirus?
Mostly online, Yukata, some Board Game Arena.
Yeah,
That's
didn't you play
dog very well?
Didn't you play a game of Castles of Burgundy with somebody recently? Like a 2-player game?
With somebody that was really, really rude and just screwed me over in it.
I never play mean, but so we both got knocked out in the Dukes of Dice tournament, but they had a second chance Castles of Burgundy tournament, and we ended up facing each other in the first round, and it was neck and neck all game. But I denied her a couple of pieces. Like I didn't even need them. I couldn't even. It was brown. I couldn't even use them. And I
just throw them away.
I tucked them away. Steve does that. The name father does that to me every game. He always takes the pieces I need at the end of the game. So I needed to survive at least. I needed to win one game. So sorry, Verla. It had to come for you. All right. So nobody's getting it. Everybody's stuck in SoCal on this one. So no, the answer, chat crew, was California. Sorry about that. All right, we're gonna move on. It's like we're running a little late. So let's slide down to the last clue, if you guys don't mind. We're gonna go with the last clue.
Sure.
Make it a good one.
All right, make it a good one. Let's see if we can break the tie, or maybe even make a 3-way tie if Luke can get in there. This is the last clue of the night here. I got mine. And yes, there is a connection to Jonny Pac if you think about it. If you think.
I heard things.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Type it in. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so this one might be easy. We'll see. All right,
let's see. I failed this one on the secret episode.
Oh yeah, that's right. So let's see. We got the 4 clues are roux, sausage, BJ, and live. Who's gonna get that one? And that'll be the last clue we have for the night. So a couple of things. What's that?
Sorry, bonus points if you can figure out whose clue was roux.
Yeah, you know what? I am actually curious. If chat crew, you know what? I don't think Steve can see this. Steve, I'd be curious to know if you can figure out which of the 4 have which clues. Yeah, let's see if you can come up with that. But Dennis, we got the Kickstarter still live for a couple more days. People still want if they want to get in touch with you about the Kickstarter, best way to get you to talk about the project.
Dennis at Bellwether Games works. You can comment on the Kickstarter thread. You can also message me through Kickstarter. All those work.
I've got Zach with Gumbo being the first one. Nick coming in right there. Jeff and Thomas. They were all. I know. They were all pretty close, though. Yeah, he's pointing at it right now. They were all pretty close. So I'm gonna have to let Steve decide on it. But I think it looks like Zach got it right under the wire for Nick. We'll see how that happens. So, all right, and that is
a
just one
tie?
game. What's that?
Is that a 3-way tie?
It's if Nick gets it, then he'll have it. If not, it'll be Nick and Thomas will have the tie because that'll be the last one. I still haven't got it from Steve yet. So I'm thinking Zach got it, which will make Nick and Thomas the winners for tonight. And that's the just one game. Dennis, what'd you think of the game?
It's good. Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be fun to be on the other side of the table, right? Be able to do the guessing. So that'd be enjoyable.
Verla, it is stressful to be on the other side, don't you think?
It is.
It's you've got. Go ahead.
Have any cross each other out?
Yeah, we didn't. We actually didn't knock each other out, which is weird.
But that's a big deal. Usually, you get the one clue word, and it's tough. Yeah.
Whenever there's 3 clues that everyone at the table knows is super obvious, and you're sitting there and you went into a different direction, and everybody's going, how can he not get this? Or I'll tell you, Thomas, Thomas, I'm reading Thomas's name on the screen. Dennis, the other thing that's been fun about the game is when we played it at BGG-Con a couple of years ago, we played it so long that at some point we stopped trying to just get the word right. It was to come up with the most ridiculous, obtuse clue that would still get the word right. It was still legitimate, but you were really playing the game just for yourself. You know,
no, I thought that's what I was trying to do.
So one of the clues was Canada one time, and I wrote down on mine. I just wrote the letters O and H. O. That was my only clue. So if everybody gets knocked out, that's not going to be a very good clue. But of course, if you see hockey, right, and you see Montreal, and you see all this stuff, and then you see O. Well, it's obvious, right? But I was really just playing for myself at that point. So, all right. So let's see. It looks like, it looks like he says the clues are kicking out. So we're going to call it Zach as the last one, and that'll mean Nick and Thomas are the winners, and that'll be just one. Our game presented by Game Toppers LLC. All right, board gamers, that is it for another episode of Gumbo Live. I do want to thank my guests here, Jonny Pac and Dennis from Bellwether Games, and of course the board game ambassador, Verla. Tell us, starting with Jonny, tell everybody how can they get in touch with you if they have any questions about the project.
Okay, I'm easy to get hold of. So I've got johnnypac.com is my website. I'm on Twitter, which is easy to find me there. I'm on Facebook, and I'm also an avid user of BGG. So you can go to any of the games I work on and either geek mail me or go to a forum if you have a question, anything like that. So I'm easy.
Very active on social media. Verla, how can they get in touch with you?
I'm on Instagram at the Board Game Ambassador with the underscore in between each word, or just Board Game Ambassador on BGG.
Dennis?
Dennis at bellwethergames.com. Or on Lines of Lydia Kickstarter. I'm also on Facebook, just my name, and bellwethergames.com, also our website. You can go there.
So Steve said Rue was Jonny, Live was Verla, BJ was Sausage, and you had the fourth clue. That's not exactly true. It was no. I don't think he got any of them right, did he? No, he did not.
That's a total mix-up.
Oh no, he got Verla. Verla. He got Verla's right. Was Live. I said Rue. Dennis said Sausage because Dennis is a Texas boy, right?
I love sausage.
You're gonna say Sausage, of course. And Jonny Pac said BJ because he's sitting right there with the icon right next to his head. So yeah, you knew right away. All right,
it could just be like giving away the clue, like fanning it.
Exactly. Well, that's it for the show. I do want to thank the guests and Jonny Pac. We got a couple of days, 48 hours left on the Kickstarter. Make sure everybody goes check that out. Next week we've got our guest, Stephen Bonacore, the podfather himself, who's never been on a podcast or a live show ever. This will be his first appearance. No, that's not true at all. But he's going to be coming on. I'm going to try to send him some Abita beer, get him a little tipsy, and get some secrets out of him about what's coming up from Stronghold Games this year. I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo. And until next time, Jonny, Dennis, and Verla, laissez le bon temps rouler.
Hey, guys.